Look what I do for you guys. This is wonderful.
What's up guys, in this video we're going to be stopping by a location with high concentrations of clay in the soil and hopefully collecting it all in a bucket and purifying it into the purest clay as possible.
Here it actually is. This is the type of soil that we're looking for. If you get closer, you can actually see the type of malleability of the soil. We take it in our hand and squish it. It should create this nice and solid ball of clay. This is what we're looking for. This is a wonderful spot to get clay from here. But don't worry, if you don't have this location near you, you can always stop by the riverbed to get that type of soil which has a stable amount of clay in it. Alright, we got our clay and our couple pounds of mud on our shoes, so it's time to return home and process this thing.
And by the first looks of it, there's a lot of sand and a little bit of rocks in here, just a bit of leaves and organic material, but other than that, it looks like pretty pure clay to me. As a first step, we'll proceed on by putting in some water, therefore dissolving the clay, separating it from other particles like twigs, leaves, roots, and rocks.
Doesn't this look awesome? This looks like a cake.
After suspending all the clay in the water, I went ahead and threw out all the particles that settled down in the bottom. At this point, if we take a closer look at what's left behind, it's mostly rocks, gravel, organic material, roots. So we're just gonna go outside and throw this away. Now that the residue is thrown out, it's time to clean the buckets and pour the liquid through a sieve.
So let's get right into it.
Wow, that's kind of weird. It's floating my hand up. It nearly feels like jello. What we have to do now is pour in the liquid a couple times between these buckets, making sure to always clean the empty ones after each pour to get rid of any residue left at the bottom. For the next step, we're going to pour out all the clay water into some glass jars for some of the water to separate out from the muddy mixture that we're going to extract later on. Let's let these set for about 3 hours, then remove the top layer of water by using a siphon or just by pouring it off. This glass of water has to be higher than the bucket itself, so let's hope it works now. But I really actually got to clay in my mouth, so... Alright, I think it's just gonna be better like this. Now we get to the fun part where we pour the water into a cloth, letting it drip overnight, and so extracting most of the water. We get to take our cloth, fold it in half, put it over the bucket. Now the basic idea here is that the clay will stay and not go through our cloth. And the water is, of course, not that dense as the clay, so that water should drip down. You're going to be extra careful here because you want to avoid the risk of it falling and collapsing down as much as possible. There's already a lot of water down there. That's a good sign. Wow, this is heavy. Here we proceeded to use a paper string to secure the bag of clay and hang it on a piece of pipe, letting most of the water drip away overnight. Okay, that seems to be good enough.
Alright, it's the next day. Now if you take your hand and squish it right here, I can feel that there's a lot of clay in there. This is going to be very hard to manipulate with and spread out on the paper towel that we're going to prepare, because it's really at this point more of a slushy than wet clay. So I'm gonna leave this here for maybe a couple more hours. In the meantime, we can lay out the paper tissues. Quick update, in about 2 hours this bucket filled up with probably this much water, and that's probably a sign that we should remove it from its little shell over there and spread it out on those paper tissues. Alright guys, with our 3 layers of clay, paper tissues, call it done, and now just wait for it to dry out. Right now, because it's super wet, not even the hairdryer is helping, so the only option that I'm left with is to just let it dry out by itself. So right now it's kind of a clay face mask consistency. This is not what we want. We want the clay to be dry enough for us to be able to manipulate it into whatever piece we want. This is close to the consistency we want. Now, just for the sake of effectivity, I put it outside in the sun. Here's our first ball of clay. How wonderful. This is still sticky, so we're gonna have to dry it out just by working it in and exposing all the parts of the clay to the air, which can dry it out. It's a wonderful piece of clay. Okay guys, this is the biggest piece so far, and here is our final yield. So from that much dirt, we only managed to get this little clay. Because it was still very dry at this point, I decided to spread it out on a wooden board and then scrape it up when it's ready. As you can see, we got our first official ball of clay. This is what we're after. This is the right consistency where nothing sticks to my hands. This smells quite nice actually. It smells like proper clay. After so much of that work, we got it done. This is the last batch, or the last piece. And there we go. We officially have all of our yield in this plastic bag. At the end, if you're not sure how to properly store this without any air in it, just before completely closing off the Ziploc bag, push the air out towards the opened corner and finish it off by closing it all the way. So there you have it guys. After so much work of dissolving, of cleaning, of purifying, of drying the clay, we finally got our yield. And if you got this far in the video, thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe and like the video, and see you in the next one. Goodbye.